So what I'm going to talk about is essentially the main paper that Shannon wrote on cryptography, which he published in 1949 in the same Bell Systems Technical Journal as he published his communication theory a year earlier. And he called this paper the Communication Theory of Secrecy Systems. And in fact, he developed these ideas at the same time as he was thinking about communication theory during the Second World War. He in fact considered the classical scenario in cryptography, which is where you have a sender sending some message, and he wants to send this in a private way to a receiver through a channel, a communication channel that could be eavesdropped by some enemy eavesdropper. And in order to hide that message from the eavesdropper, the sender is going to use some kind of transformation to, as we say, encrypt the message into a cryptogram using a secret piece of information called the key. And that key has to be agreed upon with the receiver in a secret way prior to communicating in this way, so that the receiver can use the key to recover the original message. But the enemy cryptanalyst who is trying to eavesdrop the message does not have any information on the key, and he wants to learn something about the message just from the cryptogram. And what Shannon realized at the time is that this is in fact a scenario can be interpreted also as in a similar way to the way that he interpreted the noisy communication channels, where in this scenario we can interpret this secret transformation performing the encryption as a kind of noise that the enemy has in trying to intercept this message. So it's a kind of special type of noisy channel. And so he realized that he could use the same mathematical concept to study the problem of decoding the message for the cryptanalyst. And so what his main contribution was to define this problem of cryptanalysis in a mathematically systematic way for the first time. And it was based on the same ideas as was used in communication. So trying to find, given the eavesdropped cryptogram, what is the, as he called it, the a posteriori probability of the message given this cryptogram. So it's what we call today the conditional probability for the message once you have this information of the ciphertext. And he investigated the consequences of this definition for a large class of encryption systems. And then we worked out some interesting applications of this model. And the first thing he wanted to do is to answer the question, what is an ideal or perfectly secure encryption system? And his answer to the question was what he called perfect secrecy. And the idea was that even if this enemy cryptanalyst has unlimited computation time to try to use to recover the original message given this intercepted ciphertext, he still should not be able to learn anything new about the message. And he defined this idea in terms of these probabilities. So given the ciphertext, the probability distribution of the message should be the same as if we didn't observe this ciphertext. And you can see an example on the right, which is a diagram from his paper. And you can see in this perfect system, given any cryptogram like this one, E1, the possibilities for the message that could have been sent to produce this cryptogram could be any of the original messages. And so even observing the cryptogram will not help eliminate any possibilities. And in fact, this is the idea behind the one-time pad encryption system that was devised some time before that. And this is a very simple system in which each letter of the message is enciphered with a letter of the key by shifting that letter by some positions. So like S is shifted by one position to give a T. And in the same way, every other letter is shifted by a random shifting key. The result is a perfectly secret encryption system. And he was able to prove that even any other system that will have this perfect secrecy condition will have this property that the key that you use has to be as long as the message that you use to encrypt, as we can see in the one-time pad. In other words, he showed that the one-time pad is the best possible in terms of length of keys. And what it means is that if you want perfect secrecy, you have to use keys that increase to be as long as the messages that you want to encrypt. And that becomes quite impractical for large messages. And so he also investigated the more practical cases where you have a fixed amount of key and you encrypt long messages with it. How hard is this problem for the enemy to decrypt in this case? And he was able to quantify the attacker's uncertainty in the message in terms of the number of ciphertext elements that the attacker observes. And he was able to show, for example, that for many ciphers, the length that you need to observe until you can determine the message uniquely depends on the entropy of the key and the redundancy of your language that you are using. And he was able to show that this uncertainty decreases in this kind of precise way for these general situations. So this contribution of quantifying cryptanalysis was a very important one. And once again, he used this notion of entropy in this quantifying problem. And finally, he also addressed even more practical scenarios, which are even more relevant to today's cryptography, which involve an attack that runs in a limited time, where the security depends on the fact that attacks cannot run for too long. And he gave two important ideas for designing ciphers that are secure in this complexity-based approach to cryptography. The first was the idea of mixing two types of operations, one for mixing the messages and one for kind of a nonlinear operation that transforms them. And this is the idea used in the advanced encryption standard that we all use today. And finally, he also introduced the idea of basing the security of crypto systems on some well-known mathematical problems that are known to be hard. And this is the approach used in today's public key cryptography, like the RSA crypto systems that we use every day. And so that's basically his. I hope it gives you a main idea of some of his contributions to cryptography.